What up, second grade? Miss Crawl here, and today we're going to keep talking about adjectives that compare. So you may have watched the video about that, and you may have learned about adding ER and EST to adjectives to compare. So if you're just comparing two nouns, you would just add ER. My pen is bigger than Sam's pen, right? Comparing the pens by adding ER, comparing the two different pens. Or if you're comparing more than two, you would use EST. This ocean is the biggest ocean of all the world. We're comparing the one ocean to all of the oceans. That's multiple oceans, not just one other one, so we need to use EST. Now, when we first practiced this, we were able to just add ER or EST to the adjective to compare. But sadly, it's not always that easy. Sometimes we have to do some spelling changes and change some things up in order to spell the words correctly when we add ER or EST. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So we have funny. That's our word right here. If I'm comparing it, Miss Crawl is funnier than Mr. Davis. Funnier, so it ends with a Y. If the adjective that we're using to compare ends with a Y, we need to drop the Y and add an I. And then we can add the ER or EST. So if I'm using the word funny and I'm using it to compare, I would drop the Y, get rid of it, add an I, and then add ER. Miss Crawl is funnier than Mr. Davis. If I want to do funniest, Miss Crawl is the funniest teacher in the school. I would again drop the Y, add the I, and then add EST for comparing more than two together. Same thing. If you have close, if it ends with an E, you drop the E and then add the ending. So close, you go closer. You would say closer, you would drop the E, add the ER, closest, drop the E, add the EST. We're not going to have a double E there. So you get close, get rid of the E, add ER for closer, drop the E, add EST for closest. And then our last rule that we're going to talk about today is if you have a single vowel and then a consonant, you're going to double that consonant. So look, thin has a vowel, that I, and then a consonant. So I'm going to double it. So put another N and then do my ending. So thin, I would add another N because thin ends with a vowel and then a consonant. Add another, double that consonant, and then do my ending ER. If I'm saying thinnest, I would double my consonant, put that other N, and then add EST. So those are the three spelling rules that we're going to focus on today. So we're going to go ahead and do more practice so you guys can feel confident with this and kind of start remembering those rules and getting it in your head. So the directions say, read each sentence, choose the adjective with the ending that best completes. All right, so this shell is blank, then that shell. So we're going to use the adjective tiny. So tiny is going to be comparing. Now look, we're comparing this shell and that shell. So that means we're only comparing two. So that means I need to use ER, not EST. All right, tiny is spelled Tiny. Well, it ends with a Y. So I drop the Y, add an I, and then add my ending ER. So TIN, I dropped the Y and added an I, and then put my ER. This shell is tinier than that shell.
Fantastic.
This is the blank shell I've ever seen. So again, we're sticking with tiny. This is the tiny shell I've ever seen. We're comparing this shell to all the shells you've ever seen. Well, that's comparing more than two shells, so we would need EST. So we need to look at the word tiny. We already said that it ends with a Y, so that means to add EST properly, we need to drop the Y, add an I, and then put our ending EST. This is the tiniest shell I've ever seen.
Good job.
My shoelaces are blank than when I first tied them. So we're going to use the word loose. My shoelaces are blank than when I first tied them. So we're comparing the shoelaces to when you first tied them to now. So we're only comparing two different times. So we're going to use ER. So we need to look at LOOSE. Well, it ends with an E, so we drop that E and then add our ending. So we drop that E and then add our ending ER. My shoelaces are looser than when I first tied them.
Good job.
This is the blank knot I can tie. So we're going to use loose again, and you're comparing this knot to all the knots that you've ever tied. So that's more than 2 that we're comparing. So we need to use EST. We already said that loose ends with an E. So in order to properly add that ending, we need to drop that E and then add our ending EST. This is the loosest knot I can tie.
Fantastic.
It is blank out today than it was yesterday. So we're using the word sunny. So we're comparing today to yesterday. So that's only 2 things that we're comparing. So that we need to add ER. It is sunnier out today than it was yesterday. So now we need to figure out how we properly spell sunnier. Well, sunny, we see ends with a Y. So we know if it ends with a Y, we drop the Y, add an I, and then add our ending. So we would drop the Y, add an I, and since we're comparing 2 things here, we'd add the ER. It is sunnier out today than it was yesterday.
Good job.
Today is the blank day of the week. So again, we're using sunny, but we're comparing today compared to all the days of the week. That's more than 2. So we need our EST ending. How do we properly spell sunniest? Well, we already said that sunny ends with a Y. We drop the Y, add an I, and then add our ending. In this case, we're adding EST. So SUNNIEST. Today is the sunniest day of the week.
Excellent work.
All right, my uncle is the blank man in town. So we're using the word wise. We are comparing the uncle to every man in town. That's more than just comparing 2. So we need our EST ending. To know how to spell it properly and add that EST ending properly, we need to look at the word wise. It ends with an E. So we know we drop the E and then add our ending. So we're going to drop the E and then add EST. My uncle is the wisest man in town.
Good job.
All right, let's go ahead. The mirror is blank, then the plate. So we're using the word shiny. So I want you to go ahead and yell out, are we comparing 2 things or are we comparing more than 2? Yell it out. So we're just comparing 2. We're comparing the mirror and the plate. So we just need to add ER. I want you to think, how would we properly do that? Well, it ends in a Y, so we drop the Y, add an I, and add our ending ER. The mirror is shinier than the plate.
Fantastic.
That kitten is the blank one. So we're using the word sleepy. So out of our 3 options here, I want you to think about how we would properly spell sleepiest. Because we're comparing the kitten to all of the kittens. So that's more than just comparing 2. So we need that EST ending. Go ahead and point. Don't actually touch your screen. Get your finger as close as you can and point to our answer. Yes, you should have picked this one. That kitten is the sleepiest one. We're comparing the kitten to all the other kittens. We need EST. We drop the Y, add an I, and add our EST ending.
Good job.
Winter is the blank season. We're using the word chilly. So I want you to think, would we use chilly, chillier, or chilliest? Go ahead, and if you need to pause me while you think about it, please do. But I want you to point to the answer. Winter is the blank season. Chilly, chillier, or chilliest? All right, you should have picked chilliest because we're comparing winter to all of the seasons. That's more than just comparing 2 things. So we need that EST ending. If chilly, well, chilly does end in a Y. We drop the Y, add an I, and add our EST ending.
Fantastic.
It is blank to walk, then run near a pool. It is blank to walk, then run near a pool. The word is safe. So do we want safe, safer, or safest? I want you to go ahead and point to the answer. If you need to pause me while you figure it out, please do. So you should have picked safer because we're comparing walking and running. We're comparing two things. So we need that ER ending. Safe ends with an E. We drop the E and add the ER.
Excellent work.
This is the blank part of the river. So we're using wide. This is the blank part of the river. Do we need wide, wider, or widest? I want you to go ahead again. Pause me if you need. Point to our answer. So you should have pointed to widest because we're comparing this part of the river to the whole entire river. That's more than just one other thing. We're talking about each part of the river. So this is the widest part of the river. Wide ends in an E. Drop the E. Add E-S-T.
Good job.
All right, second grade, this is going to be our last one. Micah is the blank girl in my class. We need funny. Do we want funny, funnier, or funniest? Go ahead and pause me if you need to and pick your answer. So you should have picked funniest because you're comparing Micah to all the girls in the class. That's more than just comparing two. So we need funniest. Funny ends with a Y. Drop the Y, add an I, and add our EST ending in this case since we're comparing more than two.
Fantastic.
All right, second grade, that was awesome. Great job. Real quick before you go, let's review. We talked about how we use adjectives to compare. We can add that ER when we're comparing two or EST when we're comparing more than two. But sadly, we can't just add the ER or EST ending. Sometimes we might have to change the spelling a little bit to properly spell the word. So if the word ends with adjective, ends in a Y, we drop the Y, add an I, and then add our ER or EST ending. If the adjective ends with an E, drop that E and add the ER or EST ending. If it ends with a vowel and an N, or a vowel and that consonant, it could be an N, like in thin. But if it ends with that vowel and then a consonant, you're going to double that consonant. So write that consonant again and then add your ER or EST ending. All right, second grade, awesome job, and I will see you next time.